expect most of you who regularly watch Admiral's Corner know that I've got a bit of a thing for classic transport, probably mostly steam locomotives and trains, but also road vehicles of say the 1940s up to present time, particularly the more older ones. But amongst them all, I think perhaps my favourite are the buses that we used to see running around. This is a model of a very nice London transport bus, wonderfully detailed. But when I grew up, back in the 40s and 50s, the best thing we could hope to see would be a dinky model of a bus. So it's just driven by. I had hoped to fix up a system where we could have the whole of my surviving Dinky Toys running by the camera, but the problem is that most of these being 70 years old, the tyres have got somewhat non-circular and they don't like running along. Okay to push them along, but running under their own steam they're not too happy. And these were the typical 1940s, 50s models of buses that you could buy. There were three different radiator types. One in the centre I think is the earliest design they had, but I like them all anyway. I grew up in Plymouth where the correct colours for a bus were red and cream. There were some green and cream buses around belonging to Western National, but I always thought they were the interlopers. So consequently I didn't buy too many green buses. It had to be red and cream to be correct. My parents really had to get very strict with me because when I raised 5 shillings, which was twice the price of one of these, I would go out and buy another bus, and that was frowned upon by my parents, really, wasting my money because I've already got a bus, they said. Anyway, I did amass a collection probably of about 15 different dinky buses, and I had my own little bus company, and I used to push them on my knees all around the house upstairs as well. I had regular bus routes with different number destination blinds. Besides the double deckers, Dinkies also made single deckers, such as this blue one on the left. I had a collection of those, I think no more than about half a dozen. I think 3 have survived, so let's see them together. You do wonder over the years where some of the models you remember having vanished to, because I always used to treat these as very precious. And I can think of at least half a dozen Dinkies that I no longer have, but no idea where they went. Of course, I think I was about age 10 when I began to get quite interested in Dinkies. And I kept playing with them as a boy would, I suppose, at the age of 10. And as the years went on, dinky models brought in newer and newer models. This was one of the first new ones models that I saw, of a type I didn't see in South Devon area where I lived, but I quite liked the idea of it anyway, so I had one of those as a model. Also, they brought out this, which they called an observation coach. I do remember them running around, I think particularly as service feeds in the London area. The idea being that the luggage area at the back was larger for cases, and people at the back could also get a higher view of the scenery. Of course, as I got older, my interest strayed away somewhat from toys, but I still followed modern buses, such as this one going by now. And of course those models were really superb, and I've got a collection, I think, of about 30 of the Corgi models that came out, showing classic buses. Perhaps I'll do a video of them again, although I've done one in the past. Right, before we leave the subject of Dinky Toys, let's just have a couple of drive-bys by some of the other models that I have managed to keep all these years. Here's a Maisie Harris tractor. followed by a Land Rover pulling another tractor trailer. I came to know the various makes and models of buses that ran around Plymouth, and my favourite at the time as a younger boy was a Guy, although later on I went on to like the Leylands better, but I knew Guy motors particularly well for their buses, and here's a couple of Dinky Toys of 2 Guy lorries. Although Bedfords did get involved with making many single-decker buses, they never went into double-deckers, but I knew that Bedford radiator very well on their old big coaches and the like. Here's a couple of similarly engined lorries, the one on the left being a tipper truck. You can see the little handle there where you can actually make the load area tip. Thought that was quite advanced when I bought that one. Here were a couple of support vehicles for the Dam Bus Company. The tanker there on the right looking particularly streamlined, I thought, for 1950s, whereas the lorry there looking very old-fashioned. But they made Dinky Toys lorries and with that bonnet for years and years. But at least it was the right colour scheme of red and cream. Get near the end of the Dinky Toys survivors. You see a Trojan van there on the left, and what was simply called an estate car on the right, which was actually modelled in an American estate car. Quite why Meccano Ltd of Binns Road, Liverpool, modelled it on an American, I don't know, because there were English estate cars around at the time. Perhaps they were beginning to break into the American market and wanted something to appeal to American buyers. I do remember having a model of a Hudson Commodore car, again another American one, but that one I'm afraid has not survived the passage of time. No idea where it went. You see an express dairy electric delivery truck, years and years ahead of its time. In fact, within only the last couple of years, a local delivery in Watchet where we live had one of those. He has gone over to a diesel van now, but at least that used to come up in the early hours of the morning, and you'd never know it went by because it was so quiet. Which you can't say that for a diesel van. He usually comes up just before 5 in the morning. He drives it very well though, tends to freewheel down the hill past our house at least, but you do hear him going up. Towards the end of my buying Dinky Toys, not the end of their production, but I suppose mid-50s, stopped buying them because I was getting to be about 14, 15 then. But they did bring out a range of military vehicles, such as this one. Which the boxes, I still have it, simply describe it as an armoured car. I tend to call it a miniature, well, self-propelled gun really, not an armoured car, never mind. Of course, Dinky Toys are also made in France for quite some years, together with Meccano. When I went across to France, I suppose when would that have been, in the 50s for the first time, I couldn't resist buying this little Citroen H van model, because Citroen H vans were so common over there. You see them now reintroduced into this country, mostly as catering vans, but they're so characteristic of French vans and Citroens back in that time period. Simply called a camino. Cut that bit. You can see how they're described on the box there. Simply in English as a Citroen van. Yeah. Made in France on the box, look. Yeah. One other Dinky that I know I've got somewhere, but can I find it when I want to do this review, is I think one of the last one that I ever bought as a boy, and that was they brought out this huge yellow Euclid construction lorry, huge great thing. Quite expensive to buy, but a beautiful model. All in yellow, and I know I have it somewhere. I cannot find it currently. I have a few still photographs showing the range of Dinky Toys you could buy after the war. Because during the war you couldn't buy them at all, because the factory in Liverpool was doing war work. And though I've got some old Meccano magazines that run during the war, and some pre-war actually, which I collected since, all you could see would be apologies on the back that production will be resumed after the hostilities have ceased. So as that first Dinky Toy bus went by, is coming back, we'll move on to some still photographs of what you could buy in those days.